This is the 3D VIEW-MASTER NBC television series Adam-12, The Beast. Basic unit of a big city police force. Almost anywhere is the team of 2 officers and a squad car. In Los Angeles, the police acknowledge the unit's frontline status in the war on crime by classifying it as A or Adam, plus a number designating the district which it patrols. Such a unit was Adam-12, whose human members were veteran Pete Malloy and younger partner Jim Reed. Each night their trusty, well, almost always, patrol car took them out into the streets and back alleys of the teeming city on the mission emblazoned on its door panels to protect and to serve. VIEW-MASTER Reel 1. Picture 1. One memorable night they were about to head out when Sergeant McDonald passed the word that their regular car was out of service. The day watch changed it up a little, he said. Nothing serious. You'll get it back tomorrow. Picture 2. Reed sniffed as he took his place beside Malloy in the substitute car. Smells like an old taxi, he said. Checking the odometer, Malloy whistled. 69,700, he said. Another 300 miles and this baby gets put out to pasture. Reed, cranking at the window, found it would go down an inch or 2, no more. Oh well, who needs air, he said, grinning. On the 3rd attempt with the starter, the aging motor racketed to life and Malloy grinned in his turn. Looks like an interesting night, he observed. Picture 3. If interesting was the word, Malloy was right. The rear view mirror kept flopping down. The glove compartment door popped open now and then, cracking Reed on the knees, and the car tended to jerk slightly each time Malloy accelerated. In spite of these distractions, it wasn't long before Reed's keen eyes glimpsed something in a shadowed parking lot as they passed by. Hold it, Pete, he snapped. Back up a little. A moment later he flashed his light into the open door of a parked car, disclosing a neat pair of legs. The rest of the girl was under the dash, where her hands were busy. Picture 4. A check by radio quickly disproved the girl's story that the car was her boyfriend's and that she was hot wiring it because she had lost her keys. Adam-12 had caught a car thief red-handed. They took her into the station for booking. The investigation revealed that she was involved in a series of car thefts. Soon after they resumed their patrol, the radio crackled with their call number. 1 Adam-12, Brawler at 437 South Greenway, handle code 2, picture 5. Speeding to the address, in an old but swank neighborhood, Malloy cut the motor and the headlights, coasting to as silent a stop as the old beast could manage. Picture 6. Suddenly, Reed gripped his partner's arm. There, on the front porch, he whispered. They opened the car doors, both of which squeaked loudly, and ran across the street. As they crossed the lawn, the evening's quiet was suddenly torn apart by the hissing of steam. Picture 7. After a moment's confusion, Malloy and Reed realized that the sound was coming from their car across the street. They glanced back to see a cloud of steam billowing up from underneath the hood. The four-wheeled veteran seemed to have it in for them. But if they were startled by the unexpected noise, the prowler was even more so. An indistinct figure came bursting off the front porch. Malloy and Reed had no time to think about their unpredictable vehicle. By common consent, both chased after the figure of the prowler. He seemed unable to run very fast, and they could hear his heavy panting as they gained on him. VIEW-MASTER Reel 2, Picture 1. A few strides and they had him, an elderly, well-dressed man who seemed more embarrassed than frightened. Catching his breath, he said, "You won't believe me, but I'm not a burglar or a prowler. You see, I used to live in this house. Madge and I and our boys. When she died last month, I kept thinking about the old place and, well, I just got the urge to come and see it again." "In the middle of the night?" put in Malloy. "Well, I called the people who live here, but the lady thought I was a telephone freak, so—" "We can check your story," Malloy interrupted. "Take him to the car, Jim. I'll have a word with the owner of the house." Picture 2. The woman at the door identified herself as Nina Draper and lost no time in making it clear to the lowly cop that her banker husband was a very big wheel indeed. Not very infatuated with this line, Malloy interrupted and told her what the old man had said. She was unimpressed and insisted on singing a complaint because it's a fine thing when the really big taxpayers can consider their property safe. Malloy rejoined his partner and the suspect. "I've calmed the old beast down," Reed said. "Now the problem is to nurse her back to the shop." Malloy drove slowly on the way back to the station as the beast sizzled quietly to itself. Picture 3. Making it back with fingers crossed, they booked their suspect and Sergeant MacDonald promised a quick check on his story. Then they put the beast into the hands of Tony, their favorite mechanic, who quickly located the trouble. "Busted hose," he said. "Sprayed water all over the engine. I'm surprised you have even made it back here. If you got time, I'll replace all the hoses and the carburetor could stand a little attention." "No way," put in Malloy emphatically. "Just replace the hose and get us back on patrol." As Malloy and Reed headed out once more, the beast lurched, the mirror flopped, and the closed door popped. The officers exchanged wry looks. Picture 4. First action came when a sleek new car passed them slightly over the speed limit. "No tail lights either," observed Reed as Malloy flipped on the reds. Then he got on the radio to call for a routine. "Wants and warrants. Check on the speeder's license." When the car pulled over, Malloy alighted to question its driver while his partner waited an answer from headquarters. The driver groaned when he heard about the tail lights. "It just came out of the dealer shop," he complained. "You gonna ticket me on that?" "Wait a minute," Malloy replied, stepping back to confer with Reed, who told him the car was clean. Picture 5. Returning, Malloy said, "No ticket if you stop in the gas station down the block and get those lights fixed." "Son of a gun," the man exclaimed, slapping the steering wheel. "You've ruined my day," he grinned. "I was gonna give you guys a bad time because when I passed you, I noticed you don't have any tail lights." Picture 6. Throwing each other a disgusted look, the officers walked to the back of the Maverick car. Sure enough, no sign of a tail light. "Should we take turns slashing our wrists?" suggested Reed. "Too messy," Malloy replied. "Let's just go back and see our old buddy Tony." Picture 7. Back at the garage, Tony soon emerged from the trunk, sweating but triumphant. "Loose wire," he announced. "Have you fixed up in no time?" "Don't just fix it," Malloy said. "Pray over it a little. That way we might be able to get through what's left of the night." VIEW-MASTER Reel 3, Picture 1. Back on patrol once again, Adam-12 was dispatched within a few minutes to a residence at the edge of an industrial area. The householder met them. "I may have brought you on a wild goose chase," he apologized, "but I can't help being suspicious." "Wild goose or not, you did right to phone the police," Malloy told him. "What's the story?" The man pointed across the broad avenue to where a crew of men, working under bright lights, was loading 2 big trucks through a warehouse door. "I've been coming home from work at this time for years, and this is the first time I've seen him loading stuff. Just doesn't look right." Picture 2. Peering across, the officer saw a scene that looked normal enough. 4 uniformed men were loading crated television sets while a foreman, also neatly uniformed, shouted orders and checked each item on a clipboard. Picture 3. Crossing over to the scene, they questioned the foreman of the crew, who gave them straightforward answers. They had come from Bakersfield for a shipment that would go on sale first thing in the morning. The invoices appeared to be in order. Malloy nodded at last, seemingly satisfied, but Reed knew he wasn't. Something didn't add up. The moment they got in the car, Malloy nodded toward the radio. "Get us some backup," he snapped. "It's a heist." They circled the block and returned, joined now by 2 other police cars. The 3 cars converged on the warehouse, with the headlights turned off. Malloy and Reed alighted at a dead run in time to see the foreman duck out of sight. Picture 4. While the other teams rounded up the crew, Adam-12 stalked the foreman through the maze of stacked crates, guns ready. In the end, it was Reed who got the drop on the fleeing man. Then Malloy took over while Reed disarmed him and slipped the cuffs on. Defiant at first, the prisoner finally swore with disgust. "Okay," he said, "tell me how I goofed." Reed had to grin. "Simple. Nobody ever tooled one of these big rigs down from Bakersfield and got here with a deep press in his pants like you guys." Picture 5. Back on patrol yet again, Adam-12 had just taken up where it left off in the Battle of the Drooping Mirror when another emergency call came in. Adam-18 was chasing an armed felony suspect. Adam-12 was too close in and assist. The old car responded like the traditional warehouse. It gave a lurch. The glove compartment popped open. In short order they made contact, gave chase, and ran the fugitive to ground in a remote residential area. After a wild chase on foot through trees and brush, he broke into the open, where he chose to drop his gun rather than shoot it out with 2 policemen. It was indeed turning out to be quite an evening. Picture 6. And it wasn't over yet. Arriving with their prisoner at the driveway where they had so hastily left the car, they stared at each other with resignation but not surprise. The emergency brake had let go, and the car had rolled through a hedge and come to rest in the twisted embrace of a lamp post. Picture 7. If Adam-12's crew registered No surprise over the condition of their car. Adam-18th made up for it when they roared up a moment later. They glanced at the suspect. "What you do, Malloy?" one said. "Chase him up the lamp post." "Why not? Doesn't everybody?" asked Reed with a wry smile. Turning the prisoner over to their colleagues, Reed and Malloy waited for the tow truck to haul them to the garage for the last time. After all, as Reed put it, the old girl got the job done. Least we can do is go the last mile with her.